Hey guys, JB here from Alpha Consulting, coming to you today with another awesome Stone adventure. And it's basically, I'm out in the Byfield National Park in the Stoney Creek state, like forestry around Stoney Creek. And it's absolutely beautiful out here today. And I love it, like getting out to this part, is because there's the mountains all around, but also there's these beautiful open pine forests that I'm in now, and it's like half bushland, half pine forest. So it's absolutely, like, what I reckon is beautiful, because it doesn't feel as enclosed as when you go in the bushland, and it's a really awesome place. So in this episode today, what I'm going to talk about are some topics that really excite me. And it's basically understanding, self-validation, self-belief, self-confidence and self-worth. These are the four aspects that make up who I am, the ideal of self. So, for example, self-validation is the practice. I'll wait for this wind. So, self-validation is the practice of understanding how to validate what is my own thought and belief, but also how do I validate my opinion and my point of view within me for me. Because we're taught growing up that we should always seek to validate our opinions externally to us. So, for example, if I want to feel good at something, I should look to my external environment for my results to base my judgment on it, not how I feel while I do it and how I feel about what I've accomplished while doing it. So, self-validation is the fundamental groundwork of understanding, well, how do we how do we organically validate, or how have we been conditioned to seek validation? And it's sort of like, well, how do we reprogram that so that we can validate everything internally, so that I don't need results to feel good about myself, about something I'm doing. Sorry. But we've got to understand that is the base sort of foundation. So while self-validation in on itself is crucial to understanding who am I, because we first have to understand, well, what is authentically me and what is been conditioned into me by society, or what is a persona or a mask that I've created that I'm wearing. And the next step from there is understanding self-belief, because it's great for us to validate our opinion and validate our thoughts and beliefs, but if every time we get self-doubt, we feed that, we fuel that fire and we feed that demon, what we're going to do is we're always going to spiral out of control. So no matter what work we do in terms of, understanding what is authentically me, what is not authentically me, what is for me, what is not for me, what do I want to invest in, what don't I want to invest in. Okay, and then the next step from there is understanding, well, how does self-belief work? Because self-belief it's the opposite of self-doubt. Just like self-validation is the opposite of, seeking external validation. Sick. So, we've got to understand that in every moment while I'm alive, in every, choice that I'm given, I get to choose, when I'm given information, do I feel self-doubt or do I feel self-empowerment or self-belief? Do I choose to believe I can do something, or do I choose to fuel the self-doubt of, oh, maybe this isn't for me, maybe this won't work for me, what if this, what if that? So, we've really got to understand when we say, this is what I think and believe, we have to be able to back it up with the self-belief. I thought I heard a car. With the self-belief, to be able to trust in ourselves, because that's what self-belief is just choosing to trust that you can do it. So every time you get a negative thought, we just reprogram that negative thought into a new positive belief. So how we do this is very, very simple, and it's very easy. But let's say I want to lose weight, and let's say I decide that I'm going to go to the gym 4 days a week, and I'm going to eat on a set diet. And then let's say 2 weeks in, I'm not seeing the immediate results that I'd hoped for, or that I'd wanted or desired. So then self-doubt starts to come in the form of, well, you're putting in all this effort, is it even going to go anywhere? So what we got to understand is when that thought comes, we got to, and it's really hard at the beginning because these are subconscious thoughts. So these aren't conscious thoughts. So we just get this, and how it comes across, well, it will be a feeling of, I don't know if this will work. What if this doesn't work? What if, or it might be, on the other side where we're using pleasure. So, oh, it's not going to be that bad if I, eat greasy food today. It's not going to be that bad if I miss a meal. I can do this and that, where we start to sort of negotiate with ourselves on the boundaries we've set within ourselves. So we've got to understand that self-belief is just choosing to stand for the boundaries that you've set, or the beliefs that you hold. So, for example, if you believe that you can do anything that you set your mind to, and so long as you just keep persisting, you will achieve your goal, then if every time you start to get hesitation or self-doubt, you catch that, okay, no matter what stage it's at, in the early stages when you're learning this, okay, this is me just talking from my experience, but in the early stages when I learned this for a new sort of area in my life or a new challenge, it's hard for me to notice those points where I'm negotiating with myself or where I'm talking myself down. So this works for everything in life with limiting beliefs. We've got to first sort of become hyper aware to something is happening. So if I'm not achieving the results that I want, or achieving the goal, or being able to follow the path to the goal that I've set out, something is wrong. So what we have to do, and this is what I had to do, is I had to go quiet and become hyper aware of everything that I was feeling. So I had to analyze everything so that I could spot the spikes or the variations, where, so I could see the narrative in the context of, when I'm replaying my day and I catch myself creating a story, because we all write narratives in our head about everything that happens to us and the meaning and all of that. When I catch myself writing a negative narrative when I'm analyzing, I have to go through and then set, flags so that every time I do that in the future, I can pull myself up. And it's sort of, you get better at catching yourself. And then what happens is because you catch yourself and then you shift the behavior back to what it needs to be, you're training your subconscious that, hey, every time you veer off course, when I catch you, we're getting back on course. So your subconscious will sort of get into the habit of just staying on course. And it's funny because I understood this really well when I was observing child raising and child rearing. Because you think about it, with a child, you want to catch them in the bad behavior or identify the behavior that's causing them to be, naughty or something like that, or, the root cause. And then you want to start to catch them and sort of reprogram their behavior by saying, hey, don't do that, do this. So, and we understand that, hey, for a child, and this is what a lot of people I've noticed don't understand when you're teaching other people, especially when you're setting boundaries, is it's not a once off and it's done. Like, it's not a, I tell you once and then it's in your brain. Because what we've got to understand is the level of care someone has for the relationship will determine, how serious they take, anything you're saying. So it's a really good indicator, especially in personal relationships. If someone isn't treating you how you want to be treated, and you tell them, this is how I want to be treated, okay, and they don't do that, that is them saying, like there are other things I care more about than you. You're a low priority on my list. Now, this isn't a bad thing, because what we're able to do is we're able to understand intentions and motives. So we know their intentions are, they don't value this connection or this relationship, so we shouldn't. And a funny thing is, and this is a realization I had quite recently, and it's that I always had a difficulty, because if I like you, I cared about you a lot. And what I had to teach myself and learn was there's a separation between liking and caring. So I can, and it goes across every relationship, family, friends, intimate relationships, work relationships. Like, I can really, really like my job, but if you talk to me disrespectfully, I'm going to tell you to go get fucked and walk off. So there has to be a separation between the care. Because the problem is if I care more than you care, it's uneven, because you can manipulate my behavior by, limiting or taking your presence away. So the thing I had to realize, especially in personal relationships and intimate relationships for me, was there's a separation between caring and liking. So I can like you and think you're the coolest person, but that doesn't mean I give a fuck about you. You've got to earn me caring, just like I've got to earn you caring through the action. So it's not that, if I say I'm in a relationship with someone, that, job done, you can sort of, be on perpetual smoko. No, it's a constant work. So we've got to understand this in all relationships, okay? We're having to constantly remind people why they should care for us by, thinking about them, caring about them, giving them value, looking out for them, doing all those things. And that's a big thing in relationships, is it's not, we agree to be in a relationship and then that's that. No, it's, you work every day at it, and in every moment you have to make conscious decisions in favor of it, and if you don't, it'll degrade. Because if one person is invested and the other person isn't, what will happen is it becomes unbalanced, and then resentment starts to be grown because of lack of reciprocation or reciprocity. So we got to understand this in the context that when we're trying to understand ourselves, okay, we also will understand others. So because if I don't care for someone and I don't value, their time, I'm going to act in specific ways. So if someone acts in those ways towards me, I'm able to realize, well, hey, you actually don't care about me. You know, you're in this with no care. So I have to limit my care. So it's a very, very important thing because it translates through to this is how we have to treat people's opinions. Everyone's got the right to an opinion, okay, and everyone's opinion's valid to them. But the thing is it doesn't have to be valid to you. So being able to learn how to devalue opinions that aren't based, in logical fact, that are just based in, bias, and how to sift through and decipher the valuable information that people are sharing. Because when we share opinions, we're sharing knowledge, experience. The thing is the unvaluable opinions are when people talk about things they haven't personally experienced or they don't know much on the topic. Okay? These are called posers because they don't care to put the effort in to know it. They think they know it and they'll tell you you should learn about it, but they won't put the effort in to learn it. So why listen to anything? Because they don't give a fuck. So that's the funny thing, is in everything in life, especially in interpersonal connections and, understanding emotional intelligence, we have to understand how we connect to each other. So a very key thing that we connect to each other is through experience and through communication. But communication isn't always it's only like 10 to maybe 20% the words we say. Okay, so we got to understand there's a lot more, especially in a transference where you're in a conversation in person, because you got to understand on the subconscious level we're transferring information and data that we have. So that's why you'll understand that sometimes it's really hard to understand someone explain a textbook to you only audio, like only over audio. Because what happens is there's a lot of information that's missed out. Whereas when we have speech, we're able to inflect different forms of meaning. But the other thing is, and emotion through tonality. But the other thing is when we're in person, we actually transfer memory and things like that. And, what's his name? Oh, I can't think of it. It's, I can't think of his name, but he's studied in it. Like if you look into well, you can look into metaphysics, but if you look into like spirituality and then you look into advanced forms of science on consciousness, his name is just at the tip of my tongue, but I can't get it out. But basically, what happens is we transfer thought. We project thought out of our minds and we can receive thought. And this, over the next 10 years, this science will become mainstream. This understanding. It's sort of like when you talk to someone and you're with someone and you just get them, or you have that instant click where, you're just on the same wavelength. Okay? So we got to understand these are alignments of different energetic fields These are different styles of communication, layers of psychology. It's everything encompassed. It's sort of like having the holistic view towards understanding communication, because there's so many layers of communication. So, you know, if we can understand this, it really helps us in understanding, well, you know, if everyone is struggling with multiple different problems and different layers of problems and dimensions of problems, okay, when I'm feeling self-doubt, or when I'm feeling, self-judgment, when I'm feeling like I need to justify who I am or my value, well, I know that they're all illogical fears that have been shaped through, society and upbringing and culture and things like that. So what we have to do is, every time I feel that, I need to focus on having a conscious awareness to when I feel that, okay, now I understand what it means, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to reprogram a new belief. And then, we get better at it. Now, the next stage from self-belief is understanding self-confidence. Now, to understand confidence, we have to actually truly understand what confidence means. So many people, I call them posers, will tell you that confidence is asserting yourself. Confidence is something you can fake. Confidence is, arrogance. It's being brash. It's flashy. It's making people envious of you and jealous of you. That's all bullshit. The simple form of confidence is certainty of outcome. Okay? If I tell you that a process I've created will get you this outcome with 100% certainty, and it actually does, and I believe that it does, okay, I'm able to talk with certainty. The certainty that if you do this, it will happen. Like, by all means, don't do it, but you will get the results if you do it. That's different to me trying to pose that I am someone who, sort of, people say, like, be the lion, puff out your chest, sort of, standing on the rock trying to pose like everything should be intimidated by me. It's like, no, you should be intimidated by me because I'm competent and capable and willing to do whatever it takes. That's why you should be worried, not because I'm someone who's higher or above people or in essence better. It's nah. See, that's the thing. Certainty of outcome only comes from thousands upon thousands of hours of dedicated work towards mastery. Confidence only comes by doing something 1,000 times because we understand every variable. So when things happen, we're able to remain calm because we've experienced this before. So it's really funny because, they portray this a lot in war movies and, about ineffective commanders that, prior to going into combat are all, chest out, and they're this, they're that, they're aggressive. And then what happens is they see true violence and true evil, and they cower and they become like betas, like they cease to want to fight, they lose their aggression. And the reason is because their confidence is not based in a certainty of outcome. Whereas you have stories of other commanders who dedicated, their time throughout training in preparation to becoming the most competent and capable. And even under the worst circumstances, the you know, the most difficult situation, they were able to remain calm, cool, and collected. And in many cases, were able to save like countless thousands of people, you know, thousands of soldiers' lives by not reacting, but by remaining in control and being proactive. So that's one of the keys that happens to us in every stressful situation, is when we become off balance, all this is we are becoming reactionary. So when we become reactionary, that's when fear sets in and we have to sort of hands up and we're looking and defending for blows. Whereas in proactive, we're looking and analysing for like where to strike, where is the opportunity. You know, we've got a clear, open view of what's happening when we're proactive, because we're actively looking around. When we're reactive, we're dead focused and tunnel vision on that one threat or that one challenge. So we got to understand that in life we should always seek to remain proactive, regardless of what happens in life, regardless of what comes at you, regardless of the situation. How do I put this in control? Whoops, that's my bad. One sec. Sorry. But yeah, so basically we always want to remain proactive to how am I, like how do I remain on the front foot? So when I feel the energy shift and I feel an attack coming, how do I step and blow? So, you know, it's very important, but this comes across on everything. So we got to understand, for anything you can do everything. So everything works, everything fails. Okay? So, you know, understanding this knowledge, I'm able to transfer it to, you know, emotional engagements where I'm in an emotional confrontations, where how do I stay proactive to, if someone's trying to get me off balance or make me emotionally unstable, how can I be one step ahead of them so I can defuse that situation prior to it, you know, them utilizing it, or prior to it becoming like its fullest expression or reaching its apex or its climax. Because what we want to do is, if we're able to diffuse a fight when someone's starting to get pissed off, you know, it's easier to diffuse a fight while someone's starting to get angry. You know, once they're angry, it's very difficult to defuse it. So across everything in life, always look to see if there's a potential for conflict. Okay, how could I avoid that conflict before it even happens, or have a plan to neutralize that? So, for example, a really good plan to have is to avoid conflict. If people get aggressive, just walk away. Just like, that's what I mean. It's easier to like, it's far easier to walk away when someone's getting pissed off than it is to walk away when they're already angry. Because when they're already angry, they'll try and attack you from behind. When they're just getting pissed off, like, they'll yell out bullshit. But if you just keep walking off and don't engage, like, they're not going to come and attack you, because you've now put distance between the attack. So, like, distance creates uncertainty. So if I can create uncertainty in an engagement, I can lower the probability of that engagement happening. That's another way to look at it. So if I want that engagement to happen, so let's say we were using it, you know, for the positive benefits, well, if I can clear up uncertainty, the likelihood of an engagement going ahead increases. So for example, I'll give you an example in sales. If I can like, if I can lower the uncertainty in the offer that I present to you to where the likelihood that you make money is very high and the risk to you not making money is quite low, because I guarantee it and take on all the risk, and I have, you know, Trojan, like a load of, you know, proof of concept and reviews, well then I'm able to lower the uncertainty to a point where the majority of people will say yes and go ahead with it. So if we understand this, you know, this is how we build self-confidence, by understanding, you know, situations and how to deal with situations, and building that trust that even in uncertainty, if I want to feel, you know, if I want to proceed through a challenge that has, you know, through a challenge, well, I want to minimize the uncertainty.